Is being an entrepreneur objectively better than being an employee? If you're looking for an answer that is, generally, true, then my answer is, absolutely not. Why? Because being an entrepreneur isn't glamorous. It's choosing to work 11 hours a day 6 to 7 days a week for a quarter or less of what you used to make working 8 hours a day and 5 days a week. It's risky. You have to put your 100% knowing fully well that your chances of success are quite abysmal, objectively speaking. It's inconvenient. You'll need to make tremendous sacrifices when it comes to personal life and lifestyle. You'll need to reevaluate a lot of your luxury spending and possibly even cut them out completely. It's unpredictable. There is no way to predict what the next month will hold. Even if you have several contingency plans set and enough funds, the market, competition or random chance can sweep all those plans away in an instance. So if you have home loans to pay, school fees to take care of and other recurring big dollar items, you'll get crushed. You're still an employee. Even if you own part of a company or the entire of it, you're still going to be an employee. The hardest working one, with the highest risk quotient, and you'll definitely be working way harder than your previous high-paying job. Considering these things, if you're looking for a secure livelihood, have very low threshold for unpredictability, low risk appetite and don't like sacrificing time with friends and those luxuries you've gotten used to, then stick to being an employee. Absolutely not. Anyone who actually believes that is delusional. It might be, objectively, better to be an entrepreneur in some theoretical situation where other people decided to not be entrepreneurs and all you had to do was swoop in and make some extremely obvious allocation of economic resources in order to make a killing. In reality, though, market forces exist that make it difficult to find opportunities that others have missed, and be able to start a business that maintains a competitive advantage in a particular industry. As an entrepreneur, you are going up against other extremely dedicated entrepreneurs as well as an enormous amount of capital that is sitting there waiting to fund those other dedicated entrepreneurs. If those other entrepreneurs didn't exist, then it would be a lot easier, but they do exist and in enough numbers to keep other less dedicated upstarts at bay. I've known entrepreneurs and they are as dogged as they come, working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, sleeping under their desks. There are entrepreneurs who would literally die for their companies, they are that dedicated. The analogy I like to make is voting. From a strict emotion-free cost-benefit analysis, voting is irrational. There is a far greater chance of being killed on the way driving to the voting booth than the chance of determining the outcome of an election, including local elections. One objection to this cost-benefit analysis is, but if everybody followed this logic and nobody voted, then your vote would determine the election. That's true, but the empirical fact is millions of people do vote, and so the cost-benefit analysis holds. Similarly, if there weren't any dedicated entrepreneurs around, you could easily just start a business and make a lot of money, but the empirical fact is that there are many dedicated and somewhat delusional entrepreneurs around that you have to compete with. Anyone who believes that anyone can be an entrepreneur or that it is objectively better than just being an employee, underestimates the dedication successful entrepreneurs have. The vast majority of people would consider what entrepreneurs have to go through gut-wrenching, and would run back to their day jobs, if they ever faced those challenges. No. Not necessarily. Entrepreneurship is both a skill set and a way of life, and it's not for everyone. I'd argue there's more gray area between the two that you might think at first. Stevenson at Harvard defined entrepreneurship as the pursuit of opportunity beyond resources controlled. Employees can be very entrepreneurial. In a startup, you need them to be that way. Employee number one in a startup is certainly an employee. But is that employee not an entrepreneur at all simply because he or she is not a founder? I'd argue the employee is an entrepreneur too, to some extent. That employee is also taking almost as much risk as the founders, almost always owns far less of the company, and in exchange may get a salary. Startups cannot be built to successful outcomes or to accomplish their missions without people, employees. The robots can't do everything just yet. Also, employees in companies of all sizes can be very entrepreneurial too. The VP of Ops I worked for at Google used to coach her managers to know their stuff like an entrepreneur. If you pursue opportunity beyond the resources you control, you're an entrepreneur. You're unique. Your DNA makes you unique. Your path then should be as unique as you. That path might lead to entrepreneurship in form of being a startup founder if that's the right thing for you. I believe employees in all companies would be well suited to learn entrepreneurial skills and apply them in their jobs. In short, you can be an entrepreneur, but you can also be an entrepreneurial employee.